£5.
£5?
At least.
What is wrong with you?
Is that too cheap?
My favourite film is Chef with Jon Favreau.
You like it?
Yeah. I love that film so much. Like, whenever I watch it, I invariably end up crying because I can just relate to the story so much, the struggle. It hurts! Like Chef Casper, I jacked in my restaurant to go cook on the street, and it's what kind of led me to a better way to live and a happier way to be. And whenever I watch the film, I always end up craving the food that they cook in it, and one particular dish more than any others, the Cuban sandwich.
This is really good, by the way.
Yours are way better.
If you haven't seen Chef, stop watching this film right now and go and watch it. Yeah, just go watch it, right? The problem is that whenever I get a Cuban sandwich, it never measures up. It never looks as epic. It never tastes the way I think it tastes in the movie. Well, it's just disappointing. Do you know what I mean? Really, there's only one thing for it, innit? Really. I'm in Miami to go to the very same restaurant and eat the very same Cuban sandwich that Chef Casper ate in the movie.
Oh, I'm just so excited to be in Miami. Like, it's just the moment you get off the plane, it's got that unique Cuban Latino edge that just puts a smile on your face. I'm at the world famous Versailles.
Versailles.
How do you say it?
Versailles.
Versailles.
What is Versailles?
Versailles.
Versailles. Versailles. Versailles. Why are you saying it so different?
I'm Argentinian.
What does it mean? You know this? Versailles is the most famous Cuban restaurant in the world, serving Cuban food to the South Florida community. And it's where my boy Chef Casper came to get his Cuban sandwich fix. Say hello.
No.
Cuban sandwich. See, now I see what all the fuss is about. It's not just a basic sandwich. It's 3 or 4 layers of ham and then 3 layers of pork that are both super moist. Then you've got that really beautiful, it looks like I think it's a Swiss cheese, super melty cheese. And then you've got that heat from the mustard and then the tanginess and the acidity from the pickles. But most importantly, the bread. It's pillow soft in the middle and like snap crunchy on the outside. Like the bread is such, it's like almost the most important thing when it comes to sandwiches. Okay, I gotta find out more about the bread. Come on. How do they make the Cuban bread? Do you know? Cuban bread? And how do they make it? How do they make the bread? Cuban bread. How do they make it? You don't know. Go and ask the girls. So go to the bakery. Fine.
¿De bread?
Yes.
Jordan, es lo que quiere saber cómo se hace y qué especial tiene el pan del sándwich cubano. El pan cubano. ¿Cómo se hace el pan cubano?
You can't tell me.
No,
You won't
no,
tell
I
me.
can tell.
Now, the thing with a proper Cuban sandwich is that you can't eat it the day you start it. You've got to do it the day before. You've got to get the, I'm making it complicated, aren't I? Basically, you start the prep on the Monday and you eat it on the Tuesday. Why? Well, you've got to brine and then marinate the pork. The second element is the bread. The bread, Cuban bread's unique for 2 things. The first one is that it's made with lard. It needs that fattiness. And the second element is that you introduce yeast to it on 2 different occasions in 2 different ways. And today, the day before we eat it, we've got to make the starter. So follow me. Add half a teaspoon of fast, dry, activating yeast to 120 ml of warm water, and then add 75 grams of regular all-purpose flour. Whisk them together and so there's no bits or lumps in there. And then what we do is we're just putting some cling film over the top, and then it needs to go in the fridge. And again, we're leaving this overnight just so it can be our starter, activate the yeast, and then we make the bread with that tomorrow. So the key element to the pork is that it has a citrus element to it, and we get that in with the benefit of this orange juice. What we're going to do with this recipe is that we're going to brine it first, then we're going to marinate it, and then we're going to cook it. You can just marinate it, but this makes sure that you get moisture in there, and that's the key thing. You want that citrus moisture that gives it the unique taste for a Cuban sandwich. So what I've got is you can use pork butt or pork shoulder. I'm using pork butt. Now you could take the bone out, but I just think meat cooked on the bone always tastes better. So 900 mils of orange juice, 400 mils of water, 100 mils of rum, 1.5 cloves of minced garlic, 120 mils of salt, about 60 grams of brown sugar, then a teaspoon of pink peppercorns, sage, rosemary, thyme and oregano, and roughly chopped. So get your herbs into your pestle and mortar, pound them in, and then we'll get them in with the liquor. And then once you've done that, let's get some 3 bay leaves in there. Again, I'm just going to batter them slightly and drop them in. I've got 100 mils of just plain white vinegar. That's going in. Now all I've got to do is whisk it up and get the pork in. Just score your pork and get it into your marinade. Just look how good that looks. But the thing about this is, and you can't hack this, you've got to go through it. It needs to sit there overnight in the fridge to give it time to brine and give it time to take on those flavors. So cling film in the fridge. Now we're going to make the marinade, which we're going to pour over the pork when it comes out of the marinade tomorrow. So let's crack on. Zest and juice, 2 oranges and 4 limes. Add a full head of chopped garlic, 2 tablespoons of cumin, salt, white pepper, then get a full bunch of fresh mint and add some coriander, oregano and roughly chop the lot. Pour some olive oil and combine. Okay, so that's all prep done. I'm gonna let them sit overnight and then tomorrow back in to finish off the recipe. What we need to do now is we need to make the remainder of the dough that we're gonna add to the starter, and then we've got to prove that as well. So I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of sugar into a bowl with 1 teaspoon of dry activating yeast and 180 mils of warm water. You can just see that it's beginning to bubble, so that means the yeast has been activated. I'm going to drop it into my mixer, and then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of lard. Now you could use butter, but like honestly, I would only use lard for this. It's part of the uniqueness of Cuban bread. Then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of salt in there. Get that in, and then I've got 500 grams of flour here, and I'm going to add in about 1/3 of that. Just add a bit more flour until it forms into a sticky ball. Okay, so that's one big sticky ball. Now let's go and get the starter from yesterday. That's ready to go in. Okay, and now I'm going to start incorporating that and getting the rest of the flour in. Once it's all come together, transfer your paddle out, move to your dough hook, and then continue for another 5 to 10 minutes to develop that gluten.
Right, so that's been in there for not very long, about 5 minutes. And what it does is it comes together as a really nice dough. And what you've got is this beautiful dough, and then you get a little bit of a bounce back, which is what you want. That means that the gluten's beginning to be developed. And then just take some oil, oil your bowl, oil the top of your dough, and then we're putting this aside to prove. Right, I've got a damp kitchen towel that I put some hot water on just so it's nice and warm and damp. That goes over the top, and then I've had my oven on. I've turned that off now and all the excess heat is coming out. I want to get it to the temperature of a nice airing cupboard so that it helps to prove, because we need to let this prove for 2 hours. So it's been a couple of hours since I put this dough down, and it's completely risen to the point where it's actually stuck to the top of the cloth now. But that's not the end of the world. I just need to... And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly flour my surface, and I'm going to get my dough out. So the dough, as you can see, is just pillowy soft. It's got lots of air in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now push this down, get it into a square, cut 3 loaves out of it, and then it's time to prove that again. Okay, so I'm just going to put some polenta down onto a baking tray so that it's non-stick, then transfer the dough over, and then we're going to prove these again in the turned off warm oven so that they double in size, and then it's ready to bake them. Okay, right, so that's proved for about an hour. They are perfect. So there's 2 things that we need to do. The first one is, this is not an advert for Wilkinson's sword, but you need to have a razor to do this, or a Stanley knife. But you basically have got, I don't know how to get into this bloody thing. So we've got our razor blade, and we're going to cut it along relatively deeply. When I say relatively deeply, I mean like a millimetre. As it expands, it opens out. Then we're going to spray it with some water, and that's going to help develop that crust. Okay, I've sprayed it. Oven is now set at 200. It's going to take 10 to 15 minutes. Let's get it in. So happy with those. Just look at that. Like, I can just feel how thin and crispy that outside is. Like, just look at that. Oh, I'm proud of them, people. I'm dead happy with that. Oh man, just look at that. Okay. So you can see that the citrus has already done its work. You can see that it's like permeated into the meat, it's changed in color. So let's drain off that juice, and then we've got to get the marinade on it. Look at this beauty. Look how juicy it still is. Like that, look how much flavour. Like, oh, I just can't be more excited about that. It's still juicy. It's gnarly, handsome and deliciousness that's waiting to happen in your gob tomorrow. Well, it's not tomorrow, it's tomorrow for me, but for you, it's right now. So I'm gonna take it off the barbecue, I'm gonna let it chill down, I'm gonna calm down, I'm gonna slice it on the street tomorrow and then put it in a Cuban sandwich. And Chef Casper Lee better be impressed. Boom. Right, brothers and sisters, the mise en place is nearly ready. We've got the pork that we've taken 2 days to lovingly prepare. It's been brined, it's been marinated, and it's been slow cooked. I got smoked ham and some Swiss cheese. We've got American mustard and mayo, which we're going to combine together. We've got some gherkins, and then we've got the bread that's taken us 2 days. We're finally ready to build this Cuban sandwich. Let's do it. Okay, and now I'm just going to slightly griddle the pork and the ham. Now, getting the right griddle to do these sandwiches is absolutely important because you need 2 elements. You need a really heavy duty one that's got the weight to push down, and you also need to make sure that it's got the temperature. Now, what's great about this Sage one, it's half the price of those professional ones, but it's got those 2 elements. I reached out to Sage, they've very kindly given me this for free, so thank you to Sage. And they've also offered to give 25% discount to you guys if you want to get one. So I'll put it in the description box. Right, let's crack on. A little bit more of mustard mayonnaise sauce on the top so it sticks to the cheese, and let's get the top on. She's almost ready, people. So, a little bit of melted butter. We're just going to brush on the top. Yes, this is a healthy dish. And now I'm going to brush a little bit of butter on the grill, and then we're going to get it griddling. Look at that beauty. Just look at it. Look at that. I've got to be honest, I'm most proudest of the meat and the bread, right? Like, making it yourself has made such a difference. Like, the bread is just so crispy, but the ham, especially when it's on the griddle, oh, it's so good. Right. Oh, that is insane. Look at that. Jack. We'll get Jack filming. That's really fucking good.
So good.
That is
and
what?
the mustard mayonnaise just cuts through the meat, the bread, crunchiness.
Oh. I can't stop eating it. How much?
I easily pay 8 or 9 quid. In a good mood, probably 10 quid.
I reckon people will pay. People that don't know what it is will say £7. People who know what it is will pay 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take it to the streets of Portobello Road Market and see what people will pay. So, this is a Cuban sandwich. We've baked the bread, we've brined the pork. It's taken 2 days to do everything. It's a life changer, right?
It looks delicious. Will it all come out the mouth and stuff? Oh, blimey. £5.
£5? What is wrong with you? £5? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Is that too cheap?
Flipping it.
8 quid.
8 quid?
Yeah.
Bit closer.
Really nice. Excuse me. I'm a bit older than you, so I expect value for money.
It's value for money. You couldn't eat all of that.
All right, a tenner.
Like it? You 100% increased your price.
Yeah. Really nice.
With a little bit of pressure.
Really tasty. I love
Madam,
it.
Yeah?
Tasty. Yeah. And not greasy.
Like it,
really
like
sad.
it,
That's what
like it.
Is it doing it for you?
Want more? Give me more.
Very tasty.
Smoked ham, then you've got marinated slow cooked pork, you've got Swiss cheese, you've got a mustard and mayo top. It's basically, it's called a Cuban sandwich.
Right. Nice.
Tasty?
Proper.
What would you
Stuff that.
What would you pay for a full one?
I say about 6 quid.
6 quid.
10 quid. 6 to 10 quid.
6 to 10 quid.
I know.
That's very
I wanna
precise, that is, Freddie.
6 to 10 quid.
6 to 10 quid. I'll take it. I'll have it.
Speak a little bit.
A little bit of English. That's good. That's good. Look at him. He's bashful already. So this is a Cuban sandwich.
Okay.
You want to try as well? Come on, come on, come on. How much in English pounds for that, for the whole one? How much money?
Oh, how much? 8 or 9 euros.
8 or 9 euros? I can accept that. Madam?
10?
10? It's fine. Okay, give me the money.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it, people. We're at the end of the Cuban sandwich journey. I love the chef film still. Jon Favreau, you're a legend. Roy Choi, you're a G. Cuban sandwich. Original gangster. Like, oh, that sandwich is still one of the best sandwiches you can have. I absolutely loved making this. I loved going to Miami and tasting one of the best ones. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you think the sandwich was worth in the comment box below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe because I've got some great films coming at you. And yeah, man, increase the peace.